The inflation monster is currently running rampant in cities all across the country, but if there's one place that's winning the war, it's Snack City. These mini bean and cheese tacos are cheap and insanely easy to make, so you can build your own Snack City and help keep more money in your pocket. Let's get into it. This recipe is only 8 ingredients, and to buy them all, it cost me $8.79. But that's not the true cost of this recipe, as I won't be using all of the cheese, spinach, or tortillas. The total cost of this recipe was $6.24, and it made 38 mini tacos, which comes out to be about 16 cents per taco. That's not too bad in my eyes. Step 1 of this recipe is to roughly chop some gross and disgusting spinach. You'll need 6 ounces or 170 grams of it to be exact. You guys that have been around for a while know that I despise any and all vegetables, and the only reason that this spinach is included in here is because I know that I can hide it within the tacos and it won't be noticeable. So it's an easy solution for me to get in some nutrients at snack time. Next, heat a skillet over medium heat and add a bit of oil. And now let's play a little game called Guess How Much Oil Is in This Pan. I'll pause the screen, take a look, and make your guess. A number of people have commented and said that I'm heavy-handed with my tablespoons, so let's make a game out of it and see how close you actually are. 4.8 grams. That's about a teaspoon. I weigh all of the oil I use when I do these recipes so that I can obtain a good number for the written versions in order to have the calorie estimates as close as possible. The point of this game was just to show that your eyes can sometimes deceive you and you have to trust me. Now, that being said, if you need absolute precision on your calorie and macro estimates, you should be weighing and tracking everything yourself, as your preparation will be slightly different. But the standard estimates that I give will suffice for the vast majority of you. And back to the cooking. You're going to add that spinach to the pan with about a tablespoon or 2 of water and cover it with a lid to help it cook down faster. After about a minute, you can remove the lid and allow any excess water to evaporate off. Once it's dried out a bit, add 1 teaspoon or 3 grams of cumin and mix it in. Then add 2 cans or 908 grams of refried beans to the pan and mix the spinach into the beans until it has all been evenly distributed. I use refried beans here because it takes out a step of having to mash whole beans, and it will save you some time during the cooking process. If you wanted to use regular canned beans, I would drain and rinse them first, and then add them into the pan with the spinach and the water to soften them, and mash them into a paste afterwards. Give the beans a little salt and pepper for flavor, and then measure out 1.25 cups or 140 grams of shredded cheese. Add half of that cheese, which will be a bit more than a half of a cup or 70 grams, and stir it into the beans. The remainder of this cheese will be used to top the tacos. Once you have mixed in all of the cheese, remove the skillet from the heat and replace it with a new dry skillet to heat the tortillas. For this recipe, I used 38 3-inch diameter corn tortillas. Place the tortillas down into the dry skillet over medium to medium-high heat, about a 6 out of 10, and allow them to develop a bit of color and soften. My pan wasn't hot enough for this first batch, so I didn't get great color on them, but you'll want to cook them for about 45 seconds on each side, and once you feel them starting to get softer and more pliable, flip them over to the other side and you can begin filling. I'm using a standard size cookie scoop to get uniform amounts to place onto each tortilla, which I then spread out with the back of a spoon. Next, you're going to distribute that remaining cheese over the top of the tacos, so take the cutest little pinch and place it on each taco, and then fold the bean side over the empty side so that it has some weight and it will stay shut. Once you have all of the tacos folded, you can give them an additional 30 seconds to a minute on the heat, and then transfer them over onto a sheet pan to cool, and repeat this process until everything has been used up. If you have a large flat top or a griddle to use, it will save you a bit of time, as you are kind of restricted to 4 at a time using a round skillet. In my experience, the skillet/griddle method is the best way to make these tacos, as it is the easiest way to prevent the tortillas from cracking. In the past, I have baked these tacos on a sheet pan because it allows you to do 20 or so at once, but because they don't see that direct heat from the pan before you fold them, they always seem to either crack or unfold when they are in the oven. Microwaving the tortillas in a damp paper towel first does help with the initial fold, but it never reliably prevented the tacos from cracking when baked. So even though the skillet method is a touch slower and more laborious, I have to recommend doing it this way for the best end product. You can see that as my skillet came up to temperature, I got more optimal browning on all of these tacos that came later in the bunch. This is what you are looking for in terms of color, and it should be much easier for all of you using a regular stove with more consistent heat. This induction burner that I have to use for filming was made by a batch of dunces at whatever dump of a company manufactured it, because it's a real piece of work. Now, after you have constructed and cooked all of your tacos and they are nicely laid out on your sheet pan, all of the hard work is done. As I mentioned, I got 38 mini tacos out of this recipe, but how many you make is really going to depend on the size of your scoops. If you got 38 as well and you used the 3-inch corn tortillas, each taco will be about 71 calories and they cost me 16.4 cents each. I like to flash freeze all of my snacks before tucking them away into any bags. In a home kitchen, flash freezing simply means freezing uncovered in a single layer, so don't think that you need to have some kind of fancy freezer to do this. Just make room inside of your freezer and throw that pan on top of whatever's in there. A few hours later, or the next morning, the tacos should be frozen solid and you can move them into some zip top bags to be stored for the long haul. The flash freezing process is really only necessary if you plan to vacuum seal the bags. Allowing the tacos to freeze individually and harden first will prevent them from freezing as one giant ball when you compress them and suck out all of the air. Put another way, you can't make a suck when it's soft. If you don't have a vacuum sealer, you can get by without it, but if you plan on keeping up with Snack City in your freezer, I highly suggest getting one as it will protect your food so it doesn't go bad. I'll link the one that I use in the description below. A regular Ziploc freezer bag is the next best thing, and without the vacuum sealing process, you can skip the flash freezing step. Move that bag into your freezer, and now snack time will never be more than a couple of minutes away. For reheating, I like to use the air fryer. I go straight from the freezer, place a few tacos into the air fryer, and I air fry at 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 204 Celsius for 3 to 5 minutes. You're really just looking for these to be thawed and hot. If you like your tacos to be on the crispier side, you can leave them in there for another minute or two. If you don't have an air fryer, you can reheat them in the oven if you want them to be crispy, or if you don't really care, just throw them in the microwave. I like to serve my tacos with a side of salsa, but you can eat them plain or dip them in some sour cream or Greek yogurt. The written version of the recipe for these mini bean and cheese tacos is linked in the description of this video below. Snack City will change your life. Not only does it help you save money, but the convenience alone of having a buffet of snacks in your freezer can save you from a world of decision fatigue. Brick by brick, everybody can start building and become the mayor of their own Snack City. And who wouldn't want that title?